How what's up, y'all? It's Poppin' It's D. About to react to this vid. This is 10 disturbing interviews with killers. We're gonna see what they had to say in their interview and why they say they did what they did. I don't know who this is in the thumbnail, but he looked creepy. So let's see who's on this comp. Let's watch.
Believe me, if I started murdering people,
This the nigga who got people to drink the Kool-Aid, I think.
there'd be none of you left.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a look at 10 disturbing interviews with killers.
You admit to being evil, Richard?
We are all evil.
Oh, I know him. Not personally, obviously. Thankfully. I watched a documentary on him. Not a documentary, but no, it was a documentary on Netflix. I forgot what it was called, but this is the one who was terrorizing LA. He was like killing a whole bunch of random people in LA in like the 80s or something.
In some form or another.
For this list, we're looking at instances
And he had a lot
where
of fans. They thought he was
accused
so fun.
murderers chilled our bones with statements or body language during interviews. Did any of these moments freak you out? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. John Wayne Gacy. The Netflix documentary The John Wayne Gacy Tapes did a lot to point out the notorious serial killer's sociopathic tendencies when it came to shifting blame for his accused crimes.
Shoelacing, huh? You're in trouble now. Aren't you afraid sitting that close to me?
This wasn't the first time evidence to that end has come out, however, as documented by this piece from CBS News 2 Chicago back in 1992.
I don't believe in hitting children. I don't believe in spoiling a child either. My values are such that if you give enough love to a
You're
child...
accused of murdering 33 kids and you say you didn't believe in hitting.
Interviewer
Nigga,
Walter
what?
Jacobson doesn't need to do much talking in his encounter with Gacy, as it quickly becomes clear that the former Pogo the Clown is trying his best to present alibi after alibi for his innocence.
Buckovich is not one that I killed, so I don't know nothing about him.
Gacy himself is composed for the most part, although there is a moment where he demonstrates his infamous rope trick with a shoelace that echoes the methodology of his horrible crimes.
And you just turn this, and I says it causes a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes.
Number 9. Ted Bundy.
Oh.
Time can change many things about a person, including how they behave while being interviewed. The Ted Bundy featured in a 1977 jailhouse interview from KUTV News appears more in line with the suave yet cold-blooded reputation Bundy had among other notorious serial killers.
You feel that
People really
everything will
fuck
turn
with
out
him.
right, that you are innocent. Do you still feel that?
Yeah, more than ever.
He smiles a lot during the piece and displays body language that
That's
appears
creepy.
relaxed and almost happy.
I'm not guilty. Does
that's so
that
cool.
include the time I stole a comic book when I was 5 years old?
Bundy keeps eye contact with his interview throughout most of their conversation, and it's easy to become lulled into a false sense of security, which was exactly Ted's intention.
If someone's crazy enough and nutty enough to do something like that, I can't stop them. There's nothing I can do.
Fast forward to the night before his execution, and we see a fearful and pensive Ted Bundy, a man seeking to shift blame for his crimes during his interview with Christian conservative evangelist James Dobson.
There are forces at loose in this country, particularly, again, this kind of violent pornography.
Number 8. Richard Ramirez.
This the
The
one.
Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, may be
Yeah.
one of the most frightening serial killers of all time. Not only due to the brutality of his crimes, but also the projected aura of what many perceive to be pure evil.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
It's easy to see why during some of Ramirez's more notable interviews over the years, including one conducted with author Mike Watkins.
Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They are a product of the times, and these are bloodthirsty times.
Ramirez's somewhat tense responses to Watkins's questioning imply a coiled rage, an anger that's also exemplified by the Night Stalker's breathing as he seems to become annoyed with Watkins.
I'll tell you what, I gave up on love and happiness a long time ago.
Why?
I don't care to explain that. Let the quote stand for itself.
Ramirez is comparatively more relaxed during a piece with Inside Edition, although that interview also hammers home the Night Stalker's obsession with Satanism, evil, and the occult.
I believe in the evil in human nature.
People ain't got no taste either, cause they were all on this man's dick and like sending him letters and shit. Apparently, that's what they said in the documentary. And this man's teeth is brown and fucked up. He's not attractive. I'm just confused. People just are, I guess, drawn to evil, weirdly, but sure.
It's a wicked world. And in a wicked world, wicked people are born.
Number 7, Edmund Kemper. There's something truly bone-chilling about the matter-of-fact way in which the co-ed killer, Edmund Kemper, describes his past in the 1981 documentary that...
I watched Mindhunters. Is that shit ever coming back for a second season? What the fuck? Or third? Whatever. Anyway, and they depict him in the show, because it's not a documentary, it's just a series, and you know, he's featured in it, a guy who looks just like him and acts like him.
Killing of America.
Everything went towards killing him, and I didn't. But I'm saying, wow, it's uncanny. It was almost like it was meant to be that way. And I said, wow, this got to stop.
Kemper's impressive intellect and well-spoken nature belie the brutality of a man who committed his first murder at the age of 15.
And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it.
The killer even makes a self-referential joke to his modus operandi of picking up hitchhikers by putting on a pair of glasses and asking the camera whether they would get into a car with him.
Now, would you get in the car with this man? Huh?
Absolutely not, you weird ass nigga.
Kemper's mental state comes across as perpetually active, like a bubbling pot of water about to boil over, while the documentary's exploitative narration pushes the creep factor of this one over the top.
I am an American.
Don't claim this.
And I killed Americans.
Damn.
I am a human being and I killed human beings. And I did it in my society.
Number 6, Jeffrey Dahmer. There's no barely repressed rage within the demeanor of Jeffrey Dahmer as he discusses his history with interviewer Stone Phillips.
And I acted on my fantasies, and that's where everything went wrong.
Nor are there any wild headline-grabbing theatrics. Instead, Dahmer's quiet and soft-spoken recounting of his horrible crimes lends the piece that much more power.
The only motive that there ever was to completely control a person that I found physically attractive.
There's the power of shock as he discusses the failed attempts at creating, quote, living zombies with the remains of his victims.
The killing wasn't the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control.
There's also the power of how Dahmer's moments of shocking violence are undercut by the killer's
regret
for the decisions he made, and the futility of what seemed to be a date with infamy and destiny.
Once it happened the first time, it just seemed like it had control of my life from there on in.
Number 5, Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer, was one of the most prolific of all American serial murderers.
Well, I whipped out my ID, and with my ID would be I put my finger over my driver's license to hide my name.
Ridgway was also perhaps one of the most unrepentant, a sentiment that's placed front and center during any of his interviews.
A picture of my son. They would know I was a probably normal person.
Take, for example, one he did with FBI psychopathy profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, where he very calmly describes how he would gain the trust of his victims.
The only thing that would be better than that would be to have your son in the car with you. That would be a incredible ruse.
That happened once.
O'Toole manages to get Ridgway talking in depth about his past, his upbringing, and the dozens of victims attributed to the Green River Killer's rampage. Number 4, Charles Manson. There has been a wealth of interview footage of Charles Manson
the one to get people to drink the Kool-Aid?
Much of which can be used as evidence for the man's often unhinged persona.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad?
Wait, was this the same nigga at the beginning? Or am I tripping? Nigga at the beginning was different. Oh no, that was him. Yeah, that's the same nigga.
And there's a lot of that here from this 1987 interview with Today correspondent Heidi Schulman.
I wouldn't do anything I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of.
However, there's also this intent to shatter the myth of Manson as a leader, and this is aided by the visual of Manson's scattershot presence during the interview.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
Although the occasionally violent outbursts by Manson have been well documented in this piece, it's the more soft-spoken sound bites that reveal more about the man's own admitted failures and shortcomings.
My awareness and my consciousness is not the same as somebody that goes to school and has a mom and dad. See, not having parents have left me in another dimension, so to say.
Number 3, Otis Toole.
I like to say a whole city burned down.
This interview with Otis Toole is the stuff of nightmares. There are a lot of reasons for this too, not the least of which is Toole's explosive bursts of laughter and an absolutely chilling smile.
What do you prefer in life? Sex or fire? Or fire both?
Additionally, there's the explicit nature of how Toole describes his past crimes, and how he and former associate and fellow killer Henry Lee Lucas seemed to easily disassociate the value of human life.
It's just like butchering hard to a cow.
The grainy and blown-out AV quality of this interview footage only seems to add to the feeling of grime and filth left over by Toole's gleeful accounts and delivery.
It's like drinking a cup of top, smoking cigarette. Once you get into the habit, you do it more and more.
Number 2, Issei Sagawa.
でたまたまそれが肉屋さんの旦那さんと奥さんで太って愉快なご主人でしたけど動物の解体の仕方とか肉の切り方とか教えてくれました。
Unlike the majority of our other entries, Issei Sagawa isn't technically a serial killer. However, this interview footage from Vice is too disturbing not to make our list.
でもその彼のおかげで、ロンダにエッチな気持ちっていうかこうセックス、まあもちろん
Sagawa's history and dark deeds are detailed in the documentary, while Issei himself describes the premeditated shooting and devouring of his classmate René Hachtefeld while he was living and studying in France.
で読んで彼女読んだけどどうしてもやっぱり普通に話してる時ニコニコして話してて。
Sagawa's obsessions are also detailed in the piece, as well as the legal loopholes that allowed the killer to escape prison time for his actions. Sagawa's quiet and fragile demeanor undercuts his words, all spoken in equally hushed and inoffensive tones. It is a frankly horrifying and unbelievable story.
What?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your setting. Wuornos. This interview with Eileen Wuornos on the eve of her execution is disturbing for a number of reasons.
I'm okay. God is going to be there. Jesus Christ is going to be there. All the angels and everything.
For starters, there are the crimes for which Wuornos was convicted, but there are also the stories Eileen tells about her treatment in prison.
They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Her accusations of sonic torment and food tampering speak to her paranoia and mental state during this time.
And then one day I didn't wash my food off, and I was sick for 3 weeks, almost died.
A state that gradually reaches a fever pitch during the interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial.
Wuornos' face as she directly addresses the camera is chilling, and the audience can only stare back into her eyes as the condemned killer accuses society of, quote, railroading and, quote, sabotage.
2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked.
I remember seeing that movie that Charlize Theron was in where she played her. I think it was called Monster. And they made her look so incredibly ugly for that role. I was so shocked in seeing it because she's such a pretty woman, but they made her look busted to look like that woman, and they succeeded. I was like, oh my goodness, no shade. That was a good movie though. But I just think it's interesting, how the general public responds to a lot of these killers. People love to pick and choose who they want to feel sorry for and who, they want to feel like was justified in their killings and who wasn't. Like, it's all killing. Either you want to condemn murderers or you don't. Like, it's just ridiculous how people respond. Because I remember around the time that Monster came out, some people were actually in support of that woman and being like, well, she went through a lot, and one of the people that she killed, he was trying to, rape her, so it was justified. And I'm like, so you want to justify these killings but not these? How are these worse than these killings? Like, people are just fucked. This society is fucked up. in the head, and everybody wants to play judge and juror. It's so annoying. I cannot stand people. But sure, these are these disturbing interviews with these killers. I knew a few of them for sure from watching just random docs and series about them, but yeah, it's crazy. They get so much attention. We're so interested in the way that they kill. It's wild. Y'all let me know what y'all thought, though. Let me know what other videos you want me to watch, and I'll see y'all the next one. Bye!